Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to yet another webinar on polity and governance. I hope I'm audible as well as visible. Great, audible and visible. We'll wait for a minute and then we'll begin our discussion for the day. Of course, great news for people who are preparing in, or rather, taking the exam in 2024. I hope you have already heard that the prelims examination has been postponed. So it was scheduled to take place on the 26th of May. It has now been postponed to 16th of June, right? The prelims. Somebody says, what about mains? There's a purpose of shifting this to the a different date. I think on 25th we have elections in various seats across Bihar, UP, Delhi, etc. So there might be a possibility of people going back to their hometown to vote. That's something that people do, right? Voting as well, right? So that could be one reason. Of course, coming back to your place of the examination, that could be a challenge. So we have shifted it to 16th of, not we, UPSC has shifted it to 16th of June, postponement of the exam due to elections. Oh, Vedshri says even if we clear, then we'll get less time for mains. Less time for mains. So that is a time you were thinking of preparing for mains. Amazing. Great. So anyway, don't worry, mains won't be postponed. Okay, there is no election in the month of September. Rahil, sir, I'm on ninth standard. Hey, sir, then don't worry. Life is amazing for you. Just relax right now. Forget all this prelims, mains, etc. Ignore it. 26th May 2024 was the date of examination, and now it has been postponed to 16th. I miss all these interesting queries here. Seriously. I mean, oh, why kids are destroying their life? Anyway, okay, let's begin now. These queries and interesting concerns keep on coming up. I think I should take a proper data of this and read it instead of wasting time on memes. They themselves are meme worthy things. Okay, Sir Sukanya, I also got promoted to 10th class. Okay, that's nice then. Okay, guys, let's begin now. So we have some interesting topics lined up, primarily mains based, and we'll have some uh, prelims kind of topics as well. So topics for today, we have the 17th Lok Sabha's functioning. Since the Lok Sabha is now done with, we'll have a quick summary of some important facts, data, which you might be able to use in your answer writing, or maybe a prelims based question can be asked. Then we'll also move on to understanding about euthanasia. So, sorry, citizenship amendment rules first. The rules came out. I'll just explain the rules briefly and then the law. And then something that happened in France. France has brought a bill on euthanasia. So it can be a topic of concern. There's this topic in our examination called comparison of constitutions. We'll discuss that. And once we are done, we'll then also discuss additional information with respect to France itself. France has become the first ever country to give a constitutional right to abortion. So they have mentioned this in their Article 34 of the French Constitution, the first ever country. And we'll draw some kind of parallel with our Indian law on the same topic. Then ECI, new EC is hired, basic information on that, and also on what is the procedure for selecting information commissioners. Then the role of Rajya Sabha is a part of basic structure. This line is important. Supreme Court in one judgment said that it's a part of basic structure. Though we had discussed this in one explained session on the parliamentary privilege, but this small part needs to be elaborated upon, especially with respect to the very old suggestion of Panchi Commission. Should we have equal representation of all the states in the Rajya Sabha or not? What is the advantage? What are the challenges? And then we'll have the restrictive qualifications of two child policy, once again upheld by the Supreme Court to be constitutional. We look into that as well. And of course, a mains based question on what is the advantage of such policies, and or if there is any challenge per se to these policies. Let's begin now. So first up, coming up with us are these facts on the 17th Lok Sabha. 17th Lok Sabha functioned, I hope you're aware, from 2019 to 2024. This was the tenure of the 17th Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha is dissolved on the advice of the Prime Minister by the President. These basic things, the dissolution of Lok Sabha is done by the President of India. He can do this on his own as well if no party is able to form the government, but normally is done on the advice of Council of Ministers. So we saw in this Lok Sabha a new parliament complex was established. We had that inaugurated as well in September 2023. It became functional as well, right? By the way, this entire 17th Lok Sabha, or the period from 2019 to 2024, Lok Sabha functioned for around 88% of the period of the scheduled time period. And Rajya Sabha functioned for slightly less, 73% of the scheduled time period they were expected to function. We have something called disruption in the house that keeps on happening. Also, one reason was COVID in 2020. So we did see a drop in the number of sittings during COVID. That is the year 2020. Anyway, and of course, this Lok Sabha had the fewest sittings per year since independence. If we compare all the full term Lok Sabhas, this Lok Sabha sat for the lowest number of sittings per year. That was on an average 55 sittings per year, which was less than even the previous one. The last Lok Sabha, the 16th one, was for 66 days per year. Again, as the reason for it can be attributed to COVID, because in 2020, Lok Sabha could only function for 30 days in the entire year. 30 sittings, that's it. So, oh, sorry, not 30, but I think 33. 33 sittings for the entire year. That is it. Around 13% of scheduled sittings could not take place, as I said, because of disruption and also COVID. Then, for the first time, we saw no deputy speaker was elected. No deputy speaker. This has been the first time since independence that we have seen the entire Lok Sabha being carried on without a deputy speaker, right? I hope you're aware that the deputy speaker, the election as in the constitution, is as soon as maybe as soon as possible, and the speaker of the Lok Sabha will give a date for the election of the deputy speaker. As a matter of convention, we follow that the deputy speaker's post will go to the opposition. But then sadly, this government said, sorry, no need of any deputy speaker. We already have a panel of chairpersons. If at any point of time our Om Birla ji is ill, he will take over the session. There is no need to cry. Okay, fair enough. And of course, we also saw interesting aspects with respect to suspension of MPs. I remember in UK, 25 MPs have been suspended in the last 5 years. And people are saying that this is the worst ever parliament of UK. Please call them to India. In this 17th Lok Sabha, 206 instances where our innocent MPs were suspended. 206 instances. And of course, we know the record breaking number in the which session? The winter session of 2023. How many suspended? In total, 146 suspended. That's also there. By the way, with respect to question hour, a very important tool to keep the government accountable, to hold it accountable, is question hour, because that's where you ask questions from the government and the ministers have to respond. So again, because of various reasons, question hours could only be held 60% of the scheduled time. In Lok Sabha, 60% of the scheduled time, and in the Rajya Sabha, even less, 52% of the scheduled time. And also, how many starred questions were actually answered in the Lok Sabha? 24%. Just 24% starred questions were answered. I hope you know what is a starred question, right? What is a starred question? A starred question is a question asked verbally, and the minister is expected to respond also verbally on the floor of the house, though, of course, 15 days of time is also given prior to the minister responding, and you can keep on asking as many supplementary questions as possible, cross question the minister. So in the Lok Sabha, only 24% questions were answered. Of course, ministers were mostly absent, etc. Same goes for Rajya Sabha, right? Okay, moving on. How many bills passed in total? In total, around 179 bills were passed. Of course, 221 is basically 179 plus all these finance and appropriation bills. They're also there. In case you want to add them, then they become in total 221 bills were passed. As you can see, not many. We have seen higher number of bills being passed earlier. And when it comes to bills being passed, of course, yes, by the way, you know very well, normally all bills are passed. How? All bills are passed by voice vote. Here also, most bills were passed by voice vote only. Use of voting machine only for 9% bills. What is this voting machine called? AVRE. Remember? Automated vote recording equipment. AVRE. Right? So this is the voting machine that is there on every member's table, which they press the button of, the green button for yes, the red button for no, and the yellow button for abstain. Okay. Uh, so use of voting machine, that rarely takes place. We always have a voice vote. What is voice vote? Voice vote means the speaker or the chairman will ask all the members, do we all agree? And the members shout, ayes, bill is passed. If they shout noes, bill is not passed. Clear? Okay. Also, one more point, though I don't think this is of a grave concern to us. The maximum bills were passed by the Ministry of Finance and Home Affairs Ministry, followed by the Ministry of Law, Ministry of Health. We saw some great bills being passed, right? Great bills being passed like the new BNS, BNSS, etc. Right? So all these bills were passed, replacing the Indian Penal Code, Bharatiya Nyay Sanhita, uh, Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. Right? So these bills replaced the existing IPC, CRPC, etc. Also, the bill to replace the Indian Evidence Act was passed. Then we had an amazing moment. Finally, the original 108th Amendment bill that was pending was brought again, and this time it was passed as the 106th Amendment Act. And what was this? This was the Women's Reservation. Women's Reservation in which house? The Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Yes or no? Tell me. No, only Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha has no such reservation. Okay. This reservation was for the Lok Sabha and the legislative assemblies. Innocent people caught immediately. Okay. What is so special about this? This fifth Lok Sabha, this is the Lok Sabha where emergency was imposed. So this was for 6 years. That is why double star. Okay. So this was the 106th Amendment Bill, though the source of this bill was the 128th Amendment Bill, the new bill. This was the new one. This was the old one, right? But anyway, it does not really matter. What matters is the 106th Amendment Act. Also, one more thing, we all know the discussion on bills do not really take place a lot. In fact, discussion on bills was very, very limited. Most bills introduced were passed, and you can see very well, less than 1 hour, 35% bills were discussed in less than 1 hour. So, not much of discussion. And in the Rajya Sabha also, 34% bills were discussed for less than 1 hour. Discuss and pass. Why to waste time? Government has majority. One more thing, there's something called private member bill. Do you know what is a private member bill? I hope you do know. What is a private member bill? Private member bill is a bill brought by a non-minister. A non-minister MP is called a private member. This time also, we saw record number of private member bills were introduced. 729 such bills were introduced. This is the second highest number ever. The previous Lok Sabha had the highest number. It was around 1116. This is the second highest number of private member bills introduced. But how many bills were discussed? Discussed 2 and passed Of course, zero. We know it, right? The last ever time a private member bill was passed was in the year. Which year? 1970. Absolutely correct. 1970 is a year in which the last private member bill was passed. Who can introduce a private member bill? Tell me, who can introduce a private member bill? A private member, a non MP, a non minister. That person, of course. Anyway, that's it. Oh, by the way, I also hope that you know what is an adjournment motion. This kind of motion can be brought in which house? Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Yes or no? Adjournment motion. Okay, very good. Lok Sabha only. Lok Sabha is the house which has this right to bring an adjournment motion. No adjournment motion. Zero this time. In fact, last time also, not a single adjournment motion was raised in the house. What about no confidence motion? No confidence motion. How many NCMs were raised in the last 5 years? Did we have any NCM? Yes. We had one no confidence motion which was raised in the monsoon session of 2023. That is when our PM said that in 2018 monsoon session the NCM was raised and was defeated. In the 2023 session, again it has been raised and defeated. In 2019, we came to power. So I hope you know what he was implying. Okay. So these are just basic facts. I hope. What is NCM? No confidence motion. NCM is no confidence motion raised by 50 MPs in the Lok Sabha under Rule 198 of Lok Sabha rules, wherein if they feel the government does not enjoy the majority in the House, the opposition can raise this no confidence motion. What is adjournment motion? No revision happening at all. Adjournment motion is a motion raised in the Lok Sabha by 50 MPs. This motion is raised when the MPs, the House, wants to discuss a very important matter of urgent public importance, right? Then the House agenda is suspended, and for at least 2.5 hours, the debate or discussion takes place on the topic raised in the adjournment motion. Clear? Okay, great. So this was it with respect to certain facts. Now coming to our DRSCs, we have, I know you would be aware of this, DRSC, departmentally related standing committees. Remember, extremely important. We have had a mains question on DRSCs. We have had prelims questions on parliamentary committees. How many DRSCs do we have? Tell me. We have 24 such DRSCs, right? Of which 16 function under control of Lok Sabha, 8 under Rajya Sabha. And each DRSC has how many members? Please tell me. Each DRSC has how many members? 21 members, absolutely correct, from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha. 21 from Lok Sabha, 10 from Rajya Sabha, total 31 MPs. Clear? Okay. So you know very well how amazing our government is. They feel if you send the bill to these committees to get a report, it wastes time. So the government said we won't send the bill to committees. You can see a decline in the referring of report to the committees. This was a previous Lok Sabha where this was 2014 to 2019, and this is 2019 to 2024. So you see that just 16% bills were sent to DRSCs, mere 16% bills. And in fact, most bills largely were, or most committees gave their report in less than 5 meetings. In fact, there was one joint committee on personal data protection that held over 78 meetings. Otherwise, not really. So even these bills that were referred to these committees, I'm not really sure whether committees took the bill seriously or not. Okay. Anyway, so these were some interesting facts with respect to the 17th Lok Sabha. I'll quickly summarize what is DRSC for some innocent people here. DRSC stands for Departmentally Related Standing Committee. You might see this as DSC, right? Departmental Standing Committee. The correct term is Departmentally Related Standing Committees. Okay, so these standing committees, permanent committees in the house, where their task is to prepare reports on the functioning of the ministry, the functioning of the ministry's last year performance, the long term agenda of the ministry, and if any bill is brought, then it can be sent to this committee, where the committee can prepare report, give its pros and cons on the bill. And one very important task of this DRSC, what is the very important task of DRSC? Tell me, what does the DRSC help the MPs in doing? Okay, we have one answer: budget. Budget scrutiny. So when the houses are adjourned for a month, the budget is actually sent to DRSCs. Those DRSCs prepare a report, send it to the ministries or to the parliament, and then our innocent Lok Sabha MPs can discuss and vote on the demand for grants. Right? So this is DRSC's task. Anyway, why has it decreased? Somebody asks, why has it decreased? See, there might be a political basis for it. You might feel that uh, this is being done because the government doesn't want scrutiny. But in reality, the biggest argument has been that the government feels that committees take too much of time in sending their reports, and they want to perform tasks immediately. So these committees take too much time to respond, which keeps the bill pending in the house for a long period. That's the reason why the government is not really keen in sending these bills to these committees, right? So let's see if in future we might have a situation where, I think while we were discussing DRSs, I had a recommendation as well, that the committee reports should be submitted in time. Okay. Okay. One practice question. Don't type the answer. You please mark the answer. I'll launch a poll. 1 minute of time. Please mark accordingly. Okay, absolutely correct. A lot of you got this correct. That's great. Motion of no confidence is introduced in the Lok Sabha only. It cannot be brought in the Rajya Sabha. President of India can summon and prorogue the sessions of both the houses. Absolutely correct. And budget session is, of course, typically the longest session of the parliament. Why? Because you have to discuss the entire budget. Starts right from the last day, or rather the first day of February, and continues till the first week of April. Okay. Prorogue means to end the session. Summon means to begin the session. Begin and end. Okay. So right answer is B, 2 and 3, as almost half of you got this correct. Let's move on to the next topic. I hope this is something you already know. CAA 2019. So we know very well that the rules finally were notified by the government after 4 years of waiting. So Indian Citizenship Online. Indian Citizenship Online .nic .in. This is where you will have to apply for the Indian citizenship. Notified on the first day of nah, not really. This is the left wing liberals going below the belt. No, there's nothing with that in mind. The election announcement was the one. Now, so when it comes to CAA rules, who is eligible? See, I'll give you a brief detail. You have to provide details of passport and visa, but they are optional, right? But any document issued by a government authority in these three countries, that is Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh. One document issued by Indian authorities, and then a sworn affidavit declaring the country of origin. So you have to write affidavit that I have come from Afghanistan, I have come from Pakistan, etc. So you have to write in the affidavit that you have come from which country and date of entry into India, with an eligibility certificate to be issued by any locally reputed community institution, that you are following Hinduism, Christianity, Jainism, etc., which is very surprising because right now, no, nothing has been said about who is this community institution going to be comprised of, which will give you the certificate of religion. Are we clear? So basically, some local community will have to certify you that okay, you practice Christianity, Jainism, etc., take this certificate. So there is some kind of confusion with respect to this as of now. Apart from this, the Home Ministry has also specified 9 documents to prove that the applicant belongs to these three countries: copy of passport, birth certificate, school or educational certificate, identity document, driving license, land records, tenancy records, right? Any document that shows either of the parents or grandparents or great grandparents have been or are citizens of these three countries, right? Or if you have been issued any residential permit by the foreigners regional registration officer in India. So that's how it is. You can see here, this is the eligibility criteria. Please don't mug up this. It is not required for the examination. Don't go crazy. And of course, applicant also must have knowledge of one of the languages listed in the eighth schedule of the Indian Constitution. Please tell me, how many languages does the eighth schedule have? Very good, 22 languages. So will there be a test, an examination conducted by UPSC for this? No, not at all. You simply have to say, yes, I know this language. That is sufficient. No test will be undertaken, right? These are persecuted people. Don't harass them further. So, and Ministry of Home Affairs has said that almost 85% of the people who are covered under CA, they have these documents. So don't worry. Now, there might be some who don't have these documents. So ministry has said that we are trying to explore more ways into finding out what to do in a situation where people don't have this document. So that is something which is slightly vague as of now. Anyway, so applicant has to upload any of these 20 listed documents, as I said, which certifies that they came to India before 31st December 2014. And as I also said, that Home Ministry has not specified the role and nature of that institution which would give them the religion certificate. So that is there. Then the application will be made to the DLC, and that is a district level committee. This district level committee will primarily comprise of some district informatics officers or assistants, and you'll also have nominees from central government, etc. Not of our concern. Then people have to approach them. In case you have some problem, there is a high powered body called IMPARD committee, which will be headed by a director of census operations. So there's a proper detailed structure here of where to approach once you have uploaded all these documents. Clear? So, which document justify that anyone living in India is Indian citizen? See, as of now, there is no such document that the government approves with full and final that this is what is giving you an Indian citizenship. But for these people, as I said, there are multiple documents that you can give. There are 9 different documents that they can give for their own country, and separately 20 different documents like Aadhaar, PAN, electricity bill, marriage certificate, etc., which can prove their entry into India. Okay, so any such document can be given. Voter ID card, if they give voter ID card, they're Indian citizens. How did they get voter ID card? So please don't give voter ID card. Give Aadhaar, PAN, etc. Okay. So that's it. Of course, renouncing the citizenship of another country, you also have to declare that I am renouncing the citizenship of Pakistan, etc. And as I said, you have to give this to district level committee. Clear? And this IMPARD committee will scrutinize the application and grant the citizenship. Okay, so this is the situation. Citizenship will be given via registration also, in case you are married to an Indian citizen, via registration or naturalization. I hope you know these two ways of getting citizenship, right? Now, currently, the situation as of now is what? Just today, what has happened is that the petitioners had argued that please stop this exercise before the elections. The Supreme Court said no, we cannot put any stay order on this. But yes, Supreme Court has said, government, please respond. These petitioners are raising concerns that this is uh, unconstitutional, and the Supreme Court has given them some time, I think till the 2nd of April, to respond. And the next hearing on this matter will take place on the 9th of April. Let's see what happens. Just today, the Supreme Court actually took up this discussion. So I hope you know quickly what are the provisions of this law, CAA. What is CAA 2019? Illegal migrants of 3 countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, coming to India before 31st of December 2014, belonging to six religions: Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi, Christian. They will not be called illegal migrants. They will become eligible for Indian citizenship. And in case of naturalization, also, the original condition used to be 11 years. It has been decreased to 5 years. Right? Illegal means Muslim only? No, no. Illegal migrants meaning those migrants who have come from these three countries but do not have valid documents. They might have entered legally, but now their documents have expired. So they are called illegal migrants. Normally, illegal migrants are not allowed to even apply for citizenship. But for these people, we have given an exception. Right? Are we clear on this, everybody? Now, see, when it comes to CAA, one more important point: it is not applicable in all parts of the country. Okay, it is not applicable in all parts of the country. Firstly, it is not applicable in Schedule 6 areas. Please tell me, which states come under Schedule 6 areas? Write names of all four states in one answer only. Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura. So, some small parts, autonomous districts of these states come under Schedule 6 areas. Second is the inner line permit areas. Right? Inner line permit areas. These areas, like in the states of Arunachal, in the states of Nagaland, right? In the states of Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur. You also have certain parts of Sikkim included in the inner line permit. Okay. Then there are some other parts also. What is this concept of inner line permit? I hope you are all aware. Yes, there are some parts of UP, Himachal, JNK also which are there under inner line permit. See, this concept of inner line permit, just to help you understand, please follow carefully. For inward travel into states like Arunachal, Meghalaya, right? Earlier, now Manipur, Mizoram, etc., under the Foreigners Protected Areas Order 1958, requires an official document to be issued by government. That is called inner line permit. So when you enter these states, an official document is required before you enter. Now, this permit system goes back to 1873 when the British government instituted the what we call the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulations. So, as the Britishers first entered the northeastern part of a country by conquering Assam in the Anglo-Burmese War, that was 1824-1826. History experts would know this. So, they occupied the conquered states, but they pursued what we can call isolationist policy for the northeastern frontier tracts, intending to leave the tribesmen largely alone. And the first ever policy of the Britishers in the northeast, that was known as the inner line regulation. So there was a section 2 in that regulation which says that this inner line was prescribed by the state authority, limiting the movement, and also it gave the authority the power to give permit pass to enter these states. Clear? So, see, what is the purpose? The idea is to protect the culture, the identity of these indigenous tribes in these regions. and also giving them some autonomy to look into their personal affairs. So initially, it was said British subjects and Indians were not allowed to enter these areas without a permit. After 1950, we have, of course, replaced the term British subject. So now people cannot enter. And mind you, both citizens and foreigners both need a permit. So for citizens, we need inner line permit, ILP. Okay. So you can apply for it offline also, online also. I think now mostly they have online only. There's this EILP that you can apply for. They run websites. On the website, you can go fill in the details. Within hours, you'll get the EILP, and the fees is normally from 3 to 500. I think for Arunachal, if you want to go and visit Arunachal for under 3 days, the fees is 300. But if you want to visit for between 3 to 14 days, then the fees is 500 rupees. And for foreigners, they have to get a permit like this, but it is a different permit. We call that protected area permit. So for foreigners, it's different. For Indians, we get ILP. So even to enter these states, a permit is required. Anyway, so if you are an illegal migrant in these areas, sorry, you are not a beneficiary of what? CAA 2019. Are we clear? Okay. Now, before some of you become angry at why Muslims not mentioned, because you did not uh, attend any kind of class. I'm sure not all of you have been students here who have taken classes. So your information so far that you have obtained is largely from either TikTok or YouTube, which is completely biased. So, I mean, nothing wrong in that. What can we do? Right. So that is what we are surrounded with. See, as far as the CAA is concerned, with respect to the issues, one allegation is that there has been a possible violation of Article 14. Now, Article 14 talks about equality, but Article 14 also allows positive discrimination. Just like you have a reservation policy in the country, allows positive discrimination. Similarly, the government says that these three countries are Islamic countries. And from these three countries, the people coming here are the minorities who are being persecuted. So, this law is for minorities who are being persecuted. Minorities. Now, one question can always be raised, that then why not Myanmar? Are the Rohingya Muslims not being persecuted in Myanmar, or Tamils in Sri Lanka, or Uyghur Muslims in China? That's a very fair question, actually. But the point here that we are trying to make is uh, the government says, as of now, this is the criteria. In future, we might improve upon this, add more criteria, etc. Maybe more countries can be added. A very a simple relationship that can be drawn as an example could be, in our midday meal scheme, we give we give basic food to our kids, right? Pulses, rice. In some schools or in some states, they also give vegetables. But the point is, we want our kids to also get milk, some source of protein, dry fruits maybe. Why don't we do it? We don't have the money for it. So, as of now, the government can say we do not have resources, sufficient resources for this allocation. So, maybe in future, the this ambit can be widened. In fact, the 31st December 2014 date can also be shifted in future. It can all be done. Persecuted means they have been categorically either been converted or been killed. That is persecution. Okay. Now, why are the people of Assam getting upset? Because the people of Assam feel that all these outsiders will now suddenly get the Indian citizenship, and they will start living in Assam as an Indian citizen. These primarily could be Bengali speaking people, etc., who might infringe upon the SME's land, might also come into conflict with their customs, way of life, etc. So their way of life, their traditions, their customs might also get impacted. Okay. uh, but it is not applicable for Assam. No, no, guys, just to clarify, only a small part of Assam is under Schedule 6, right? Karbi Anglong, Dima Hasao, and Bodoland. Other parts of Assam are not under Schedule 6. CM of Bengal says that CA will take away your citizenship. What do we say? Okay, this is all vote bank politics. Anyway, it does not really matter. This is the information that is sufficient for us to know. I would request you not to fall prey to politics at all, please. Uh, right now, the problem in our country, sadly, is that nobody is able to oppose BJP on any solid ground. And even right now, you see people constantly trying to raise a concern, useless concerns being raised. You are simply trying to add fuel in the country because you have nothing else to offer. Only if we had a formidable opposition, we would have better people, right? And look at the situation. One of the great, the most eligible bachelors of our country, he recently said that electoral bonds was the biggest scam, biggest extortion racket. We fully agree that BJP received lot of money, but Congress also received money. So was Congress also involved in extortion? I mean, what to do? Anyway, so ignore all this. Don't fall prey to all this. Why Schedule 6 not applicable? Sasi, Schedule 6 not applicable because Schedule 6 areas are tribal areas where tribals have been given additional protection, right? We have autonomous district councils in those areas where those tribals have a right to make their own laws. They have a separate court system, etc. So infringing upon those tribal areas could have an impact on their way of life. That is why. Okay, that's it. It violates Article 21 also. Uh, as of now, the new issue that has been raised by one Indra Jaising, she says that it is violating my right to vote. I don't know how it violates her right to vote, but her concern is that these people will get the right to vote, which might impact the result in the country. And the result might be in the favor of BJP against the Congress. So that might not be there. Now, see, one point of argument that I think we have already explained in detail was the NRC issue that was there. So, if you see this, I hope you remember that we had already understood this in the class as well as to what exactly is NRC. NRC for the entire country, right? So NRC for the entire country, if that is issued and that begins, then it might be a challenge. But as of now, there is nothing wrong with CAA, and anybody putting in any kind of you know against argument is just playing politics. Frankly, that is a reality. Of course, you can have a genuine concern that uh, the the party is trying to play politics by having a vote bank. It's a handful of people who are getting the support, right? And you'll be surprised to know the horrific stories of people who have escaped Pakistan and have come to India, right? NRC is the National Register for Citizens, meaning a list of all the citizens in the entire country. This is what is NRC. Okay. This so far is only for Assam currently, but Mr. Amit Shah had said earlier that it will be for the entire country. So, one more thing, I'd just like to add a point. Don't think that this is the first time it is being done in the country. For some of you, I see that you might be visibly upset. The first step in this direction, it was taken way back in 2002 when the state of Rajasthan requested the then Deputy PM LK Advani to help resolve the difficulties faced by Pakistani Hindus who were trying to get Indian visa and citizenship. In February 2004, the Vajpayee government, amended the citizenship rules, and it actually gave the district magistrates of certain border districts in Rajasthan and Gujarat the power to grant long-term visas and citizenship to such migrants. And hear me out. Later on, in June 2010, when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister of India, the Home Ministry asked the states and union territories to extend the long term visa of certain categories of Pakistani nationals without insisting on a valid passport. This is not something the BJP has brought. This has been happening for a long period of time. We have been giving extension to a lot of people who have come and escaped Pakistan, right? And at that point of time, the cutoff date was 31st December 2009. And just to clarify, Hindus and Sikh people from Pakistan were eligible under that policy, apart from Pakistani women who were married to Indian nationals. They were eligible. So this is something that has been going on for a long period of time, right? Anyway, uh, so that is it with respect to CAA. Don't expect a question in the main examination. In the prelims, there can be a question, especially on this topic, wherein applicability is there or not. Solve this question. Practice question. Okay. Oh, interesting. A lot of you marked A as the answer. Innocent people, not correct. Did you not see not correct? That is very sad state of affairs. CAA, Citizenship Act provides single citizenship for entire country. That's true. I hope you know. We believe in, or we have a simple policy of one citizenship, one domicile. That's it. Then dual citizenship. Dual citizenship is allowed for persons of Indian origin living outside India. No, no. We do not have any such concept with respect to citizenship in India. Clear? If you are a passport holder of any other country, sorry, you cannot enjoy Indian citizenship. And number three, OCI grants individual right to vote. No, no, no. Right to vote is only meant for Indian citizens. Are we clear? Right to vote is meant only for Indian citizens. Do NRIs have a right to vote? Yes or no? Tell me. NRIs, of course, have a right to vote. Why do NRIs have a right to vote? Because NRIs are what? NRIs are Indian citizens living outside the country. That's it. They have a right to vote. Right answer is C. Guys, one more point. I see. We The purpose of webinar is to go through the current events. So it would be a wrong expectation to get those topics explained in the same detail as a live class. I hope you understand it, because we have 7 topics at hand. So it was the expectation that you would know these things. So please, I think we need to also put in the effort. Otherwise, the purpose would get completely spoiled here, right? And not just for polity, for other subjects also, right? Okay. Now coming to something interesting that has happened in some other country. Of course, there can be a comparative question in India also. Euthanasia. Okay, what is euthanasia? Good. Greek. EU means good. Thanatos means death. So, in short, euthanasia can be referred to as a good death. Euthanasia is defined as hastening of the death of a patient to prevent further sufferings, accelerating, quickening the death of somebody. So, let's say somebody is on a deathbed. In this case, Aruna Shanbog, right? Aruna Shanbog was a nurse in the one hospital in Bombay, and long time back in 1973, she met with a very brutal accident in the form of a person trying to assault her, and that put her in the coma. She was in coma 1973 till 2011, when this matter first came to court. Finally, in 2015, after 42 years of being in coma, passive euthanasia was allowed. Now, I'll discuss what exactly is this. But first up, what is the context? So, recently, a bill has been brought in France, where assisted dying is going to be allowed. What is the eligibility? Individuals 18 years or older who can independently form views, who are not suffering from any severe psychiatric condition or any neurodegenerative condition like Alzheimer's, etc. They are eligible, and they will call it aid in dying. They are going to use this term for the bill, aid in dying. The idea is to give it a more human approach, right? So the process will require some kind of reconfirmation from of the decision, and then a medical team will reconfirm it within 2 weeks. Then, once it is confirmed that this person's life is very difficult and there is no scope for improvement, this person is going to be on the deathbed only forever. Then, to the doctor, 3 months of prescription will be given for a lethal medication. The doctor will inject that, and then the person dies. This medication can be taken at home, in nursing homes, in any healthcare facilities also. Okay. And in case the person cannot take the medication himself or herself, then the medical professional will give you this medicine. Clear? So, this is with respect to what is there in France right now. As of now, of course, nothing has happened. The bill is up for discussion. Maybe by the end of mid next year, they might pass this bill. So, what exactly is euthanasia? As I said, quickening, accelerating the death of a patient to prevent further suffering. See, euthanasia can be of two kinds. active or passive. Let's say somebody meets an with an accident which puts him on the deathbed, and let's say the person is in coma. Now the person can do nothing. He or she is in a coma, right? A comatose, a vegetative state, and has no life, no future. Doctors realize that nothing can be done, right? And it's end of story for the person. At that point of time, you might have a situation where the person is suffering completely, dependent on somebody else completely, right? So there are two options. Number one, active euthanasia, deliberate act to end a patient's life, usually by administration of some lethal drug, etc. When person has some incurable disease or is terminally ill. Or we have passive euthanasia, where you stop giving medicines, like in the case of Arna Shanbog. So if you are on medical support, right, this means that for bare survival, you need some external support. Let's say oxygen mask. Without oxygen mask, you can't even breathe. What is that? That means you are on external life support. So what we'll do, we'll not kill you, we'll just stop the external life support. You will die automatically. I mean, imagine the pain in this small case. This lady was on the bed for 42 years. What if she wanted to die every day, right? We have a right to live with dignity. It's very important. And you being dependent on somebody else for 42 years, there is not much of dignity in that. So there can be certain situations where a person might say that, no, I don't want to live like this. So that's also possible. See, active euthanasia means we'll inject drugs. You even if we withdraw life support. If anybody here has seen this movie called Guzarish, Guzarish means this movie starring Hrithik Roshan. So Guzarish, in that movie, Hrithik Roshan was not on life support, but his body neck down was paralyzed. Imagine yourself in a situation where neck down you are paralyzed. So you can survive, but what kind of life is this, that for even the most basic things you are dependent on somebody else? Where is the dignity in that? So if you want to end your life, you can't even do that. But to kill you, we have to inject some drug inside you, right? Maybe some injection has to be given. Only then will you die. That's called active euthanasia. Now, see, active can be voluntary also, patient requests. It can be non voluntary also, without patient's consent. It can be involuntary also, when the patient is not in the position to give consent. Okay? It can be of various kinds. So, this is with respect to euthanasia. Now, see, as far as euthanasia is concerned and the international laws are concerned, before we come to issues and concerns, there are various countries which allow for physician assisted suicides, right? Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Colombia, Canada, and of course, India is one country which allows for passive euthanasia. So, in countries like Netherlands, Belgium, India, right? Colombia, right? Narcos land, Colombia, Luxembourg. So I think in Belgium previously there was some age restriction, but recently they passed a bill and they have now removed any age restriction for euthanasia. You'll be surprised, every year 1,400 people in Belgium are killed through euthanasia. And there is a term nowadays called death tourism, where people who are suffering from some incurable disease go to those countries which allows either passive euthanasia or physician assisted suicide, like Switzerland. Switzerland is one country which is now known for its death tourism also, where every year patients from Britain, Germany, French people, they travel there to end their life. In Netherlands, 2% of all the people dying every year are through euthanasia. So this is what is euthanasia. Hasten means to accelerate, quicken, increase the pace. So this is the point. Now, please tell me, what is the benefit of having euthanasia in the country? What is the advantage of having euthanasia in the country? Any benefit? Depopulate? Pop- Arey guys, why population control? Please. How will you become civil servant? No empathy at all. Population control. Dignified death, etc. Okay, okay. Thank God. We have some logical answers also. Why give death sentence? Population control. Great. Decrease the load on economy. Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's have a quick look at the benefits. Firstly, the caregiver burden, right? Advocates for euthanasia highlight the immense physical, emotional, financial strain. Physical strain, the emotional strain, and the financial strain. Is that not there on the caregiver, right? On caregivers of patient with incurable diseases. This burden often leads to desperate pleas to end the suffering, not just of the person, but the caregiver also. Then refusing treatment. Right to refuse medical treatment. It's your right. So you have a right to refuse medical treatment. It can also be right to refuse any kind of external life support. You can simply say, no, I don't want a oxygen cylinder to breathe. It's okay. I'll die. That's there. Then don't we have debates on the ethical aspect, like the early pregnancy terminations, mercy killings that take place of deformed newborns? That's also there, right? When you know very well, right, in the very first trimester, there are certain tests that can be conducted on a pregnant woman, which might expose that the baby, the fetus, might have Down syndrome. It's possible. In the second trimester also, tests can be conducted where the supposed defects, the chromosome defects, etc., or heart risk that the baby can have in future, these can come out. Now tell me, is it not appropriate at that point of time to have some kind of the abortion, rather than having a lifelong suffering for the fetus in future and the parents? Same thing here, right? So mercy killing or euthanasia, the same thing, it is there. Then burden on the family. I mean, imagine a situation, a poor person has three kids, and then one kid suffers from this disease. He is on life support. You think life support is cheap in the country? Life support is not cheap in the country. So that person, you expect the person to keep on putting in all the resources, right? For one kid who might not be able to survive at all in future. And what about these other kids who are there, who still have a future, hope, scope to live? Taking away their precious resources and diverting it into what? Something bad which may not have any scope in future. Burden on the family. And this is mostly a financial burden on the family. This is nothing but the right to refuse medical intervention. Then organ donation, that can be a very important element. At least some organs. Euthanasia for terminally ill patients is also seen as a potential boon for organ transplantation, turning a supposed right to die into a life saving opportunity for those people who are awaiting for some organ transplant. So, dual aspect of euthanasia: end and means of giving life to others. It's not just end one's life, it can also mean giving somebody else's life. So that's there. And then inefficient utilization of resources. See, if you remember this movie called Shankar Dada, Vasool Raja, Munna Bhai. Remember? In Munna Bhai, Anand Bhai was there in Munna Bhai. I think in Chiranjeevi's movie, the Telugu version, there was a small boy on the wheelchair. So I don't remember that version of it. But the Hindi one where Anand Bhai was there. Now, the doctor actually made a very right statement that subject is occupying a bed in a country. See, in our country, there are 13.8 lakh doctors for the entire population, and around 34.3 lakh, it's not 13.8, it's 08, 34.3 lakh nurses. And this number has increased recently because of the high intake or hiring, and the seats have been increased in the medical profession. So this amounts to at 80%, and you will have to add the other kind of doctors, around 800 doctors per 1,000 people, lakh people. So this is the, sorry, one doctor for every 800 people. So the point here is that India is just meeting the international standards of having doctors. You could see in the COVID times the impact on the physical infrastructure in the hospitals, where we had shortage of beds, ventilators, oxygen cylinders, and then somebody who has no scope to live in future, at negligible scope to live in future, he or she is occupying resources. In our country, resources are limited. Please understand, limited in terms of infrastructure, whether it is hospitals, whether it is doctors, whether it is medicines. We have to have judicious use of these resources. We cannot simply waste it. These are some of the benefits of having euthanasia. Now, what are the challenges? Of course, can somebody say that miracles cannot happen? Have we not seen miracles happening in life? Right? It's possible. Who are you to say that somebody can never come back to life? And not just in movies, it happens in real life also. People do come back from life threatening diseases. It does happen. So, see, the first thing that is there, see, just to summarize the benefits very quickly. See, use of euthanasia is the last option left when nothing goes for the treatment of the patients. The main goal is to end the suffering of the patient. Right to die is a personal choice also. Government should not interfere ideally. And euthanasia does not really involve the doctor. The patient has a role to play. And the final decision of euthanasia benefits the patient's loved ones also, in way of time, in way of finances. And the patient also wants to free his loved ones from the burden of caring. And of course, not all patients are allowed to go for euthanasia. Few patients with very severe diseases with no improvement are accepted. And anyway, death is a bitter truth. It will happen someday, right? So, as Keanu Reeves said, that what happens when you die? So, when we die, the only thing that happens is those who love us will miss us. That's it. That's what happens when we die. And it is actually a bitter truth. It is going to happen. But what are the challenges? The first one I said was miracles. Who are we to decide that miracles cannot happen? It might happen. Then we also have the constitutional concern. See, in our country, we still do not support the idea of right to die. No, no, no. It's still not there. So, right to live with dignity is there. Right to die is not there. So, that's a problem. Then, a big concern is the mental health. Suicidal tendencies often indicate underlying mental health issues, right? So, what if somebody does not have, uh, he's not wired properly in that situation? What if the person rather sees ending life as a solution to all the problems? We need to also have some kind of fighting spirit inside, right? That fighting spirit also needs to be there. Then, of course, potential for abuse, right? Property, risk of euthanasia for financial gains by relatives. Let me write this: financial gains by relatives. What if there are two brothers? There are two brothers. One brother is in the coma now, and the other brother says, "Oh, kill him, please, please. He's suffering because property, whole property will become mine." That's also there. Okay. Then focus on palliative care. What is palliative care? Palliative care simply means specialized medical care for people with serious illness. That's called palliative care. Specialized medical care for people with some very specific or serious illness. So, one issue that people raise is, what is this? I mean, focus on giving some treatment also, right? The idea is should not be that the first thing that comes in the mind, "Ah, kill the person. I can't treat the person. I can't care for him every day." See, if somebody is in a coma or somebody cannot physically move, do you? I hope you understand that even the most basic activities have to be undertaken by somebody else, right? Attending nature's call, cleaning the person, right? Cleaning the I mean, every aspect of the bodily functions have to be taken care of by somebody else. So somebody may not be interested in doing the hard work. They may say, "No, no, kill this fellow. Who will go and clean a toilet every day?" That should not be the criteria. That should not be the case. And there can also be some kind of commercialization for this. That's possible. Legalizing euthanasia might lead to its misuse in profit-driven healthcare system. Poor people, kill him immediately, take the organs, give it to rich. That's possible. That's also a challenge. And of course, depression and terminal illness. See, many euthanasia requests stem from untreated depression amongst terminally ill patients. If you just remember your situation in the COVID, sitting in the confines of your own house, you are feeling depressed. While physically fit, amongst your friends, family members, with your mobile phone to do all sorts of nonsense, making cringe-worthy videos, reels, etc., still you felt depressed. Imagine somebody who is lying on the bed, right? In fact, most euthanasia requests come from untreated depression amongst these patients. So, proper care and support can often alleviate the desire for euthanasia, right? That is it. And we have to focus on providing care to these people. But of course, these are the challenges. And one more thing that people say is this prediction of a terminal diagnosis is not always accurate. And who are you to say that somebody can never improve? And consent is a problem, right? Doctors might provide false information. So these things do have a challenge. Anyway, coming to what is there in India. In 2018, finally, Supreme Court allowed for passive euthanasia in India. So Supreme Court says there is right to die with dignity, not right to die. So right to die becomes an absolute situation. We have a right to die with dignity, that is passive euthanasia under strict conditions. So Supreme Court has given guidelines to enforce this. And in our country, we have a concept called living will. What is living will? Living will is nothing but an advanced, please follow carefully. This might be of use to you also. Medical directive. Living will. Living will is a written legal instruction regarding your preference for medical care if you are not able to decide for yourself. For example, you can write a document and say that in case in future I meet with an accident and I'm not able to give consent on what steps should be taken, please follow this procedure. Are we clear? Everyone, living will, just like your will of property, similarly, living will on what will be done to you in case you meet a situation where it is life threatening for you and you are on the bed, cannot communicate. So, what is the situation? uh, you have to get a notarized attestation by a notary or a gazetted officer that this is my living will. And once you make your living will, it will be uploaded on the National Health Record, which can be accessed by any hospital in the entire country. And once the situation comes to that, let's say you met with an accident or you have some kind of disease, you are in coma, three doctors, including the physician who was treating you, two other doctors, three doctors with at least 5 years of experience. Earlier it was 20 years of experience. Now they have reduced it. 5 years of experience will say whether your situation can improve in future or not. Okay. And this board will then decide within 48 hours on whether we should go for withdrawing the life support or not. Are we clear? This is what is the living will, the common cause judgment of 2018, which allows people in our country to opt for passive euthanasia. Not active is not possible. Firstly, injecting drugs, no, no, forget that. So, passive euthanasia. This is euthanasia. See, this is nothing new. Back in 2006, Law Commission's 196th report 196th report of the Law Commission said the same thing. I think that report was called the Medical Treatment to Terminally Ill Patients. So it said that a doctor following a competent patient's request to stop or not start treatment, it's not called failing to perform your duty. It is not a criminal act. It also clarified that a patient choosing not to undergo medical treatment, it should not be seen as committing suicide. That is section 309. Are we clear? So we have under the IPC section 309, which is suicide. If you try to commit suicide and you survive, you'll be jailed for 1 year. Now they have made a slight modification here. You will firstly be treated, and there'll be a proper mental health evaluation done to find out whether the underlying cause of committing suicide was a mental cause or not. If the reason is a mental reason, then you will not be punished. Okay, that's it. Later on, in again one more law commission, 241st report, passive euthanasia, it said the same thing that there should be a proper bill on this. But anyway, the Supreme Court has simply given a judgment now that there will be passive euthanasia. Okay, that's it. There is a mains practice question for those who are uh, practicing for the upcoming years. Analyze the ethical, legal, and social implications of legalizing euthanasia in India. How did it align with the principles of right to life enshrined in Article 21? Right. So, in the introduction, now please follow me carefully. In the intro, briefly introduce euthanasia, its relevance in the Indian context. I had mentioned the Law Commission's report. Both the reports you can mention. It has been supported by the 196th report, the 241st report. They have supported the idea of passive euthanasia. Okay, you can mention that. Then, in the body, talk about the ethical implication, right? Ethical debate around the autonomy, dignity, what is also sanctity of life. and also mention perspectives of different religions and cultural beliefs also. I'll tell you something interesting. In the Sanatan, or even amongst Indic religions, let's say Jainism, ending life, what is this body? This body is, trapping your soul. The soul is imprisoned inside the body. Salvation is the ultimate objective. Yes or no? But in Christianity, body is seen as a very respectful part. And if you cause any kind of self harm, that goes against the way of God. But in some other religions, it is said that this body is a prison of the soul. Diverse views. Some religions don't allow suicide. Other religions promote this idea that this ultimately you have to get moksha. That's also there. We can mention that angle as well, right? That can be put. Then, of course, the legal implication. You can mention the Aruna Shanbag case, the Supreme Court's common cause judgment, etc. And the social implication, that could be doctor-patient relationship, the general attitude of society towards elderly people in the family. That can be a challenge actually. In fact, most people uh, who are old in today's day and age, with fast life, people are not really in this zone to take care of their older people, right? So you are more likely to be supportive of the idea of euthanasia. That should not be there. So potential for misuse is always open. So mention that, and then conclude by summarizing the points. Offer a balanced point of view that the current legal framework is very solid, and without medical practitioners' recommendation, it should never be done. And we can also talk about how ethical guidelines in place, legal safeguards have ensured that so far in India, euthanasia passive is not misused. That's it. So this is how you can attempt the answer. Okay, one more topic, just some additional point on abortion. As I was saying, that in India, euthanasia drug is available. There is no drug. In India, it's not allowed. If you're on some life support, we can stop the life support. We can't inject some drug to kill you. That is not possible. Okay? Please understand. Also, abortion is now a fundamental right. Article 34 of the French Constitution makes it the first ever country to make it a constitutional provision. 4th of March in the Palace of Versailles, it was passed by the National Assembly, and recently in the Senate also it was approved. Finally, though it is not for the first time, France has allowed legal abortion since 1975. They have made it into a constitutional norm now by directly mentioning it in the constitution. See, anyway, globally, 6 out of every 10 unintended pregnancies for women between 15 to 49 years ends in abortion. So, access to abortion is a very crucial health service for women. It remains largely inaccessible for many women. And if you have such policies, it actually goes on to support your sustainable development goals. Yes or no? SDGs, goal number 3, goal number 5. Remember, goal number 3, 3.1. What does it say? Lowering the maternal mortality ratio. Goal number 3.1. Goal number 3.7, goal number 5.6, what do they say? They emphasize on the universal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. So these abortion rights also go on to promote or at least fulfill some of the sustainable development goals. Uh, Coming to what is SCOTUS? SCOTUS is nothing but Supreme Court of the United States. SCOTUS, not to be confused, please, everyone. Supreme Court of the United States, USA. They call it SCOTUS. So, interestingly, there was a very old judgment, January 1973. So, in USA, they have 9 judges, 7:2. This judgment was called Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade. Wade was a public attorney. Roe, see, whenever any case is filed in USA and there is nobody who is actually filing the case, or sometime when you have an unidentified body, so in USA they name that body as John or Jane Roe. Like in India, we have a practice. If any unidentified body is found, it is referred to as Ashok Kumar, a very common term, Ashok Kumar. In like in Kerala, they refer to, I think, Purusham Pretam. I think that's the word because there's a movie made on that. So that's how I got to know that. Okay, and then I confirmed that. So that's true. Purusham Pretam, something of that sort. That's what they refer to. So if there's any unidentified body in India, that body is referred to as Ashok Kumar. Generic kind of name is chosen. So this Roe versus Wade, in this Supreme Court held that women in USA had the right to choose whether they wanted to get an abortion or not. And in 2022, in another judgment, 6-3 judgment. This judgment was called the Planned Parenthood judgment. Planned Parenthood versus Casey. In this judgment, Supreme Court said that Constitution has no reference to abortion. Sorry, there is no such right that is there in the Constitution. So the Constitution cannot protect your right to abortion. Extremely sorry. Now, in India, we do have a law, and that law is called the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, where medical termination of pregnancy resulting from, say, contraceptive failure, that is allowed for both married and unmarried women. Okay, for both married and unmarried as well. Now, it is up to 24 weeks also. If you want to get an abortion, up to 20 weeks of gestation. What is gestation? Gestation is the fetal development period from the time of conception to the time of birth. That phase is called gestation. So up to 20 weeks till the woman is pregnant, 20 weeks pregnant, right? uh, at that point, one doctor, registered medical practitioner means one doctor, they have to give their opinion that the pregnancy can be terminated. Earlier it was only till 20 weeks. In 2021 we extended it to 24 weeks, but there you have to get two doctors opinion, and that is only for special categories like survivors of rape, victims of incest, victims of other vulnerable issues like, say, some differently abled women, minors, etc. In that case, up to 24 weeks also is possible. Now, state level medical board's opinion is mandatory for termination after 24 weeks, and that can only be due to some abnormality in the fetus. Then we can abort. And at any point of time, the woman's identity cannot be disclosed. If you disclose the identity, there is a fine, and not just a fine, jail term is also there for of up to 1 year if you disclose the identity of the woman. Are we clear? Okay, so this is with respect to the MTP Act. Again, see, world over, look at how we are progressing with respect to rights. Solve this question from what I have said right now. This is a question framed from there only, so please solve it quickly. Why not disclose women's identity? Why would you want to know if somebody wants to get an abortion? It's their personal right to privacy. Give some examples of unidentified body. When somebody dies on the road and nobody comes to claim the person, the police cannot ascertain whose body is it. They have to give some name. They call the person Ashok Kumar. In USA, they call it John Doe. If it's a woman, they call it Jane Doe. Okay, so a lot of you got this correct. Great. Pregnancy resulting from contraceptive failure can be terminated up to 20 weeks for both married and unmarried women. Okay. The opinion of two RMPs is required for no, for 24 weeks. Up to 20, only one RMP. The upper gestation limit has been raised to 24 in case of special categories. 1 and 3. B is the answer. Okay. Now, coming to, I think, something you already know, have enough information on the Election Commission of India, the new EC is hired. We have two amazing people, Sukhbir Singh Sandhu and, of course, Gyanesh Kumar. Gyanesh Kumar was one of the people who had a very important role to play in the formation of the, or rather preparation of the JNK reorganization bill. He has worked for a large part recently under Home Minister Amit Shah in the Ministry of Cooperation also. And SS Sandhu, both of them are batchmates, same batch, 1988 IAS officers. Okay, he was a chairman of NHAI, and before this, he was the chief secretary of Uttarakhand. Okay, so they have been appointed. Why? Because Anup Chandra Pandey retired on the Valentine's Day, I mean, sorry, on 14th of February, and Arun Goel resigned. Now, why did he resign? Don't ask me. I don't know why he resigned. Recently, somebody asked the current election commissioner, Chief Rajiv Kumar, why did he resign? He said, I don't know. If his friend says, I don't know, how will I know why he resigned? We don't know why he resigned. Anyway, so what is the procedure to appoint election commissioners? Do we know the procedure? Yes, there is a search committee. Search committee comprising of law minister plus two secretaries. This search committee will suggest some names to the selection committee. Selection committee comprises of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha, and who is the third member? Tell me quickly. Please, fast. Any cabinet minister, okay, who is chosen by the Prime Minister. This is a committee to appoint the what? Election commissioner. That is why recently Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said that, oh, I oppose this name. He said that I was given 200 names and only 10 minutes were given to me, and then they gave me 6 names. Choose one. What is this nonsense? How can I choose in 10 minutes? So he was very, very upset. In fact, he wrote a letter to the secretary of the law ministry, Rajiv Mani, that this is wrong. Give me more time to decide, etc. So this is with respect to the current situation. Anyway, also earlier we had no qualification, but now we have a qualification. The qualification is that you have to be a current or former secretary ranked officer in the government of India. Secretary ranked officer. Okay. IAS officer. Direct criteria. Today's motivation. Please clear the exam, become IAS officer, post retirement. You can also become the election commissioner of the country. Expertise in managing elections and persons of integrity. How do we measure this? We don't know. Only God knows or the government knows. and salary allowance is same as Supreme Court judge. That's it. So please remember the appointment procedure of the election commissioners. And just one small question, please tell me, what is the removal procedure of the chief election commissioner? Tell me. It is same as Supreme Court judge, right? What about the removal procedure of the election commissioners? Same as Supreme Court judge, yes or no? We don't know. Nothing is mentioned. The only thing mentioned is they can be removed on the recommendation of CEC. Whether recommendation is binding or not, we have no idea. So sadly, nothing is mentioned on how will the ECs be removed. Okay. Term of office 665 and not eligible for reappointment. And when you are the chief election commissioner or the election commissioner, whatever steps you take for those actions, no civil, no criminal case can be filed against you. Are we clear? This is for the CEC and the ECs. Solve this question very quickly. Mark the answer. So there are many allegations of biasness. So tell me allegations. Don't quote Congress leaders. Tell me what exact allegations are there. First option is 1 only. Second option is B is 2 and 3 only. C is 1 and 3 only. And D is none of the above. EVM hacking. Sir, there have been hundreds of cases filed. Supreme Court has said EVMs cannot be hacked. It's impossible. Why to fall prey of all this? There is no such proof of this. Bhabai, what are you guys doing? Most of you, 59% got this answer wrong. President of India appoints a CEC on the recommendation of PM, LOP Lok Sabha and CJI. Wrong. The CEC and other ECs can be removed from the office in the manner like Supreme Court judge I just said right now, not these ECs. Wrong. The ECI is a constitutional body, correct? Responsible for administering all. What about the local body elections? Who conducts local body elections? Please tell me. State Election Commissioner, not the CEC or ECI. D. None of the above is the right answer. Okay, great. Second last topic, I just wanted, this is a completely mains oriented topic. Just to see, recently I had made a video on that. There is no self promotion, please understand. But you should watch in case you want to on the Supreme Court's immunity. So in this judgment, which was the Sita Soren case, uh, Supreme Court said that Raj Sabha is a part of basic structure of the constitution. It's a very important statement. You know, recently, or not recently, a few years back, in fact, in UPSC mains also a question was asked, should we remove Rajya Sabha? See, Rajya Sabha is being said to be a part of basic structure of the constitution. This is verbatim Supreme Court statement. The Rajya Sabha or the Council of States performs an integral a function in the working of our democracy, right? And the role played by Rajya Sabha constitutes a part of basic structure. That is a importance of Rajya Sabha. It's a fundamental component of the democratic and federal structure of the country. And participation in elections to Rajya Sabha is an integral part of the functioning of legislators. Are we clear? Okay. M. Veena, sir, in Google it is given by committee consisting of PM, LOP, and CGI. Very good. So you are Googling and still got the wrong answer. What do we do? Life is not so easy. I wish Google was always right. Nakal ke liye akal chahiye, right? But it's okay. Follow what I am saying. Don't worry. That was Supreme Court judgment. Anup Barnwal case. Judgment has been bypassed. A new law has been made. We have gone ahead. Basic facts quickly first. Maximum strength 250 mentioned under Article 80. I want all of you to today read Article 80 of the Indian Constitution. This is mentioned under Article 80, Clause 1. How many people elected? 233. From states also, UTs also. Not all the state, all the UTs. Only 3 UTs have representation in Rajya Sabha. Delhi, Pondicherry, Jammu and Kashmir. Right? 12 nominated. Recently, a very famous person was nominated to the Rajya Sabha. Tell me quickly, who was nominated recently? What Gogoi? It's an old story, Gogoi. Yes, very good. Sudha Murthy was nominated recently. This nomination is actually done by Home Ministry. You should know this. Done by Home Ministry. Okay. So recently, Sudha Murthy was nominated. Election by elected MLAs of the states and certain UTs. System proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. Uh, some intelligent people are saying that, sir, but nomination is done by the president. Tell me, guys, do I still have to use the word now? Real power, discretionary power. Come on. The president nominates those people, but on the advice of Home Ministry. Anyway, special powers. Special power, Article 249. Tell me quickly, what is Article 249? What is Article 249? Raj Sabha has special power to what? To allow the parliament to make laws on stateless subjects. One more special power, Article 312. Raj Sabha can authorize the parliament to create a new All India service. What is this Article 67B? Very good. Removal of vice president. The removal of vice president can be initiated in which house? Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or any house? Rajya Sabha only. And what is the voting required in the Rajya Sabha? Please tell me quickly. What is the voting required? Effective majority. Who is writing special majority? Effective majority in the Rajya Sabha. Don't write 2/3 and all. More than 50% of effective strength. In the Lok Sabha, what majority is required to remove the VP? Tell me. Okay, very good. In the Lok Sabha, it requires a simple majority. Now, just a small point I'd like to make for your understanding. See, if you look at a country like USA, USA has around 50 states. USA has two houses, House of Representatives and Senate. Senate is the upper house, their Rajya Sabha. Every state has same number of senators, two each state, but different number of congressional members. So two for each state, but different. Some states like Alaska, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, they only have one member in the HOR from the entire state. Some states like Texas have 38 members, New York 26 members, Florida 28 members, California 52 members. But all the states, irrespective of what membership you have here, they have equal members in the upper house. This ensures that states are equally placed, equally powerful, but not in India, right? In this situation, Panchi Commission had said that we should have equal representation of all the states in the Rajya Sabha. Now, what can be an advantage? There'll be a balanced federal structure. The will ensure that smaller states are not overshadowed by the larger states, promoting a balance in the federal structure. Currently, UP has 31 MPs in Rajya Sabha. Goa has only one. In fact, 5 or 6 or 10 states together, combined together, do not send the number of MPs that UP sends alone. There is no equality. So we can ensure a balance. This will also result in equal voice. Every state, regardless of its population size, gets an equal platform to raise the concerns and interests, ensuring that national policies reflect the diverse needs and aspirations of the entire country. It also prevents dominance. Dominance means prevents the more populous states from dominating on the legislative process, ensuring that laws, policies, etc., consider the interest of all the states. It also encourages cooperation because now it will foster a spirit of cooperation, collaborative decision making, because you have to take on board the smaller states also. Right now, simply outvote the smaller states, but then cooperation. And there is also a cultural balance, a regional balance, helps in maintaining cultural and regional balance by giving equal importance to voices of states rich in culture but small in population. That's there. Strengthening federalism, enhancing the principle of federalism by empowering the smaller states, contributing to overall stability, right? Cohesion in the country, and of course, inclusive development. Because now those policies will be encouraged which cater to both advanced states and less developed states, right? That's the advantage of having equal representation. But then what can be a challenge? Of course, you know very well. Population disparity. Come on. Look at the situation. Look at Sikkim. The entire population of Sikkim, you will have more people in a district in a state like UP, Bihar, Bengal. So it might not accurately represent the population distribution of the country. So there can be underrepresentation of states with large population in terms of their needs, in terms of their demand. And then resource allocation. States with larger population may argue that equal representation does not reflect the greater need in terms of resources, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of developmental funding that is required. And there is also going to be a negative impact on legislative efficiency. With equal representation, smaller states could potentially block or slow down important bills that might be crucial for the large, more populated states, but may not have any impact on the smaller states. And then political manipulation. Of course, smaller states might become leverage points for political bargaining. Smaller states which might have some local regional parties, their MLAs. It can lead to political gains over national interest. And of course, unequal voice in demographic specific issues. Issues which affect larger states, such as, say, migration, urban infrastructure, equal representation will dilute their concerns. Policies will never be made to adequately address those specific challenges. And then this potential for sub-nationalist feeling will always be there. Regionalism, overemphasis on equal representation. So this could also increase regionalism, where states will start prioritizing their interest over national unity. That could eventually lead to fragmentation. And lastly, administrative challenges, right? Coordinating policies and programs that require consensus amongst all the states. That's very cumbersome as an exercise, right? It can be a delaying tactic. So, because of the larger issues concerning equal representation, it might not be a good idea. Okay. Anyway, solve this question quickly. I'll take 5 8 minutes more, guys. One small topic is left, and then we'll be done. So please, a bit of sleep will be disturbed today. If you have drinking and partying plans, please hold on. Okay, a lot of you got this answer correct. Great. The Raj Sabha has exclusive power to authorize the parliament to list it on subjects in state list. Absolutely correct. Member of Raj Sabha must be a resident of the state. This is wrong. You can be a resident of any state. It is not required. I have always given this example, very famous one. Look at Sonia Gandhi right now. Raj Sabha, Rajasthan, not from Rajasthan. Or the finance minister of our country from Tamil Nadu represents Karnataka. Raj Sabha cannot vote on demand for grants. Of course, demand for grants only Lok Sabha. The deputy chairman of Raj Sabha is not a member of the House. How is it possible? The deputy chairperson of Raj Sabha is elected by and from amongst the members of the House. B. Tell me, guys, what is status of Raj Sabha today? Yes, Raj Sabha is a part of basic structure. What kind of question is this? Raj Sabha is a part of basic structure. You are saying what is the current situation? Please tell me, guys. Vice President of India is a member of Rajya Sabha. Yes or no? Some people are writing yes. Criminal case should be filed against you immediately for not revising at all. No. VP of India. Why will VP be a member of the Rajya Sabha? God is watching all this. How can you do this kind of crime? Okay. Very simple question. Discuss the significance of Rajya Sabha in the federal structure of India's democracy. Analyze how it acts as a check on the hasty legislation and ensures representation of states at the national level. And give some examples. Mention the significance of the in the federal structure. Right. Talk about how Rajya Sabha acts as a check. GST, Women's Reservation Bill, constitutional amendments. Remember, constitutional amendments cannot be done without Raj Sabha's approval. Yes or no? Why? Because joint sitting is not possible. No joint sitting possible on such amendments. So, all major changes that have been made, we have had to involve Rajya Sabha, take them on board. Just elaborate on all these things. Okay. Lastly, this was a video that I had made. In case you want to, please watch the video on the parliamentary privilege immunity for the legislators. Finally, interesting case in Rajasthan. So, what is the story? The story is very simple. There was an ex-serviceman who retired from defense services in 2017, applied for post of constable in Rajasthan police, but his candidature was rejected. Why? Because he had more than two children after 2002. Because Rajasthan has a policy that if you have more than two children, you are not eligible for government jobs, in the police. He went to High Court. High Court cancelled this his claim. He went to Supreme Court, and recently Supreme Court also said no, no, no. Supreme Court said that the classification which disqualifies candidates for having more than two living children as non-discriminatory as discriminatory is incorrect. Such restrictive qualifications are non-discriminatory and intra-vires the constitution. Three-judge bench has very clearly said. Justice Suryakant was there, Justice Dipankar Dutt was there, and who was the third one? I think K.V. Vishwanath, I think, was the third judge. They very clearly said that such restrictive qualifications do not violate Article 14. Sorry. So, the context is that in Rajasthan, the Rajasthan Police Subordinate Service Rules of 1989, there's a rule 2J which says that police establishments like police department, anti-corruption department, and other such similar departments, they have a rule number 24. Rule 24, sub rule 4. It says that any person who has over two children will be not be allowed to become eligible for government jobs. Similarly, male candidates with more than one living wife will not be allowed. Female candidates married to a man with an existing wife, of course. And then, if any candidate has been involved in a dowry transaction, will not be allowed the job in the police service. Clear? This is what is known as restrictive qualification. So now we have two child policy in government jobs. By the way, guys, just to clarify, if you have one child and the next birth twins are delivered, those twins will be seen as one entity only. Don't worry, you won't be disqualified. Okay. And in local body elections, tell me, in panchayat and municipalities, don't we have a two child policy? Then what else do we have in panchayat elections? Education qualification. What is a qualification to become the minister, MP, MLA? Is there any education qualification to become MP, MLA? Nothing. But for panchayat, it is required. Then there should be a functional toilet in your house. By the way, there is a Supreme Court judgment on this. Actually, uh, Javed versus State of Haryana, three judge bench, a very, very old judgment. So, in this particular judgment, a three-judge bench actually upheld the Haryana Municipal Corporation's Municipal Act's policy that two-child policy is correct. You cannot become a sarpanch or an up sarpanch if you have more than two kids, and this has been upheld in the Rajbala case also, 2015. In fact, Supreme Court promotes all these things. Supreme Court says that these things are very good. So various states have this. See, population control and family planning, firstly, is a concurrent list subject, entry 20A, because of which you will find that various states have made having a small family a qualification. Rajasthan Panchayati Raj Act of 1994 has this. Odisha Zilla Parishad Act of 1991 has this. Gujarat Local Authorities Act of 1962 has this. Right? And states like Maharashtra, Assam, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, various such states have this kind of policy. In fact, Maharashtra has also introduced rules in 2005 requiring that for government job you have to have only two kids. Recently, in 2021, UP State Law Commission also recommended that there should be a UP Population Control, Stabilization and Welfare Bill, where anybody with more than two kids should be disqualified for any government jobs, right? And people with two kids or less should be given housing tax rebates, incentives, etc., to encourage population control. No, this was not a constitutional matter. It is just a simple matter. If anyone gets two twins, then not possible. Once you have a twin, two kids, done. End of story. That's it. Educational qualification for panchayat is also held to be correct. These qualifications are subject to various states making laws. These are progressive steps, but we want that these steps should be there even for MLAs and MPs. Let's hope that we see laws where we have some qualifications for MPs, MLAs also. Lastly, a mains based question. I hope when I give these questions, you write answers for them, not just saving them. At one fine day, I will write. examine the benefits and challenges of implementing restrictive qualifications such as two-child policy for candidates in government jobs, discuss the implication of such policies on the governance, societal norms, and individual rights, and suggest measures to balance public interest with personal freedom. Mention the benefits of such restrictive qualifications. They can promote responsible family planning, enhancing the quality of governance, right? Serving as a tool of population control, reducing the burden on natural resources, government resources. Then challenges of restrictive qualifications, right? Infringement on individuals' right, personal freedom, enforcing such qualifications, risk of discrimination is there, some social stigma is attached. There might not be a link between your performance in a government job and having three kids, right? So that's how it is. But yes, there should be a better approach to educate people, make them aware, provide incentives first for family planning, then disincentives. That's how it is. Okay, that's it, guys. For today we are done. So please revise these properly. Whenever you have read this topic in any place in your polity classes or anywhere else, please go and add these in those topics. Notes will always keep on getting updated. Okay, there is no end to updating the notes. Mahua Moitra case will reopen again. Let's see what happens if she comes back again. Ramawat, sir, did you block me? My comment, sir, I did not block you. Maybe, sir, somebody has blocked you. You have a very big issue with being blocked again and again. Don't worry, I will never block anyone. So I cannot, though I wish to, but I cannot. So, no, no. So feel free to share your concerns. Okay, experts will address your concerns if you have any. And guys, just to clarify, those who are taking the morning batch this time, Saturday 7 to 12, have your doubts ready. Dwapayan, mail me the concern. 7 to 12, don't be sleeping, attend the class. Last time also, I think around 15-20% students did not come for the class. And yes, leaderboard for the day. Leaderboard. Oh, 2 minutes. Oh, 7 toppers. Dhanya, Ravi, Bhavan, Navdeep, Santosh, Aniket, Nikhil are the toppers today. Rahul, Lekha, Mudrika, Dheeraj, Nazla. I hope it's Nazla, not Nazla. Nazla, Ramawat, Bhavna, Akash, Keha, Labdi, Samiksha, Kennedy, Ganesh, Dhyana. Others might be there. So this was the toppers list for today. Great, guys, amazing. Exam has been postponed, sir, because you joined late. You don't know. In the beginning of the class only, I had mentioned that yes, the UPSC prelims has been postponed. For those who joined late, exam has been postponed to 16th because of the elections. Okay, that's it, guys. Let's If you have any concern, please mail to the Target IAS etc. website. In case email, if you want, you can mail to me, but please don't mail me with explain this point and all. It will not be possible. But any serious concern, do mail to me. My email ID is anubhav.saransh@gmail.com. Oh, sorry, @byju's.com. I myself forget that. Okay, anubhav.saransh@byju's. Feel free to mail me. Okay, great. That's it, guys. Go enjoy, have party, drink, make merry, but don't forget to revise. Revision is important. And those who are morning class, please sleep, get up, and study again. This is life. That's all for me, guys. Jai Hind, and see you again in the next webinar next month. Jai Hind.